A former Justice Department lawyer who accused the Trump administration of thumbing its nose at the courts is speaking publicly for the first time, and text messages, phone records, and emails viewed by the New York Times appear to support his version of events, depicting a department where leaders press employees to take serious legal risks in pursuit of the president's aggressive deportation agenda, as well as a, quote, intentional effort by the administration to ignore judges and the due process rights of hundreds of migrants. Joining us now, New York Times reporter covering the Justice Department and the FBI, Devlin Barrett, and MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin. So, Devlin, lay out the reporting.
Right. So I interviewed this Justice Department lawyer, this fired Justice Department lawyer, Erez Raveni, earlier this week. And his point is that he thinks the American public should know what's happening behind closed doors at the Justice Department and the degree to which he says that senior Trump administration officials are willing and ready to both ignore court orders and lie to judges.
And you've seen these internal DOJ texts and emails, and he says they reveal gallows humor by some of the lawyers, the ones who were ordered to take a high-risk approach to court orders. One of those texts says, at this point, why don't we just submit an emoji of a middle finger of our filing? This is what Raveni is telling colleagues.
Right. And I think that's actually a really telling text because often, like most people, even lawyers will be sort of blunt and to the point in texts. And, you know, he was really doing that in that moment. And part of what he was trying to deal with as a career DOJer at that time was trying to get the administration to both give straight answers to the judge about what the administration was doing in terms of sending hundreds of people to a high security prison in El Salvador, and trying to convey to the administration what the judge was telling them they could not do. And repeatedly, you see the text and the emails show over and over again that the administration officials did not want to hear it and did not want to tell the judges what was really going on.
Lisa, in terms of he's got these text messages, but what have we seen publicly that might support Raveni's claims?
Katie, in terms of what we've seen publicly, I assume you're not speaking about the rest of the documents here. I mean, Raveni's claims are really hard to substantiate without these underlying documents, which is, I think, why they're now in the public domain. Obviously, his whistleblower report is 27 pages long, but the specificity of the account that he gives in that whistleblower report is based on not only the text that he exchanged with fellow DOJ lawyers, but email exchanges that he has among agencies, including the Department of Homeland Security and state. And I want to say one other thing is he's not just asking for information to give to the courts. He's asking for assurances that court orders are being complied with. And in particular instance, he asks 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and everyone on the chain just ignores him. It's as if there's this aggressive effort afoot to keep the kind of career DOJ lawyers who are going into court and defending the administration's actions from the information that would allow them to see that those orders are not being complied with. They are trying to keep people like Erez Raveni in the dark. We saw that again today in court before Judge Zinnes in the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case, where you see DOJ lawyers who appear to be career staffers really just not knowing the kind of information that a judge is demanding of them. Why? Not because they haven't asked the questions, but because they are being stonewalled at every occasion, just as we see Erez Raveni being stonewalled in these emails that he has now shared with the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Let me play some of the allegations and the interaction between Bovee and Adam Schiff during some Senate testimony.
There is a wildly inaccurate caricature of me in the mainstream media. I am not anybody's henchman. I'm not an enforcer. I'm a lawyer from a small town who never expected to be in an arena like this. I have never advised a Department of Justice attorney to violate a court order.
In the complaint, it says Beauvais stated that DOJ would need to consider telling the courts "F you" and ignoring any such court order. Did you say anything of that kind in the meeting?
Senator, I have no recollection of saying anything of that kind.
So, Lisa, you write about how the F-bomb there is not really what stands out to you. It's rather an email that was sent. Explain.
Yeah, so Katie, one of the emails in this trove of documents that Erez Raveni has shared with the Senate Judiciary Committee and now has been shared with folks like me and Devlin is one that was sent by a guy at the Justice Department named Yaakov Roth, who is writing to only 3 other lawyers at the Department of Justice, all of whom are in the civil division or serve in immigration capacities. And he says this, I'm reading to you. I have been told by ODAG, that's the Office of the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, that the Principal Associate Deputy Attorney General, that's code for Emil Bovee, advised DHS last night that the deplaning of the flights that had departed U.S. airspace prior to the court's minute order was permissible under the law and the court's order. Let me demystify that for you and take it out of lingo. What Yaakov Roth is saying is Todd Blanche's office told me that Emil Bovee was the one who told Homeland Security it was totally kosher to take all the Venezuelan migrants that were sent to El Salvador off the plane, despite the fact that Judge Boasberg told them in no uncertain terms orally that they needed to turn the planes around. Now, does that make what Emil Bovee said to the Senate Judiciary Committee a lie? Probably not, because he chose his words very carefully. He said, I have never advised anyone at the Department of Justice to violate a court order. But instead, what Yaakov Roth is saying here is that advice was given to DHS without knowledge of the people at DOJ who are on the ground litigating the case.
All right. So in terms of the whistleblower stuff, Devlin, has the administration responded? Has the Senate responded or even the House? Is he going to be able to testify?
That's very unclear. There doesn't seem to be any schedule for him to testify either in Congress or in court, although he says he's willing to. There may be a confirmation vote in the committee on Bovee's judicial nomination next week. And, I think part of the reason why this has started to move very quickly in terms of the whistleblowers' actions is that Raveni feels very strongly that the public at least should know this and understand what's really happening inside the Justice Department.
Yeah, he's trying to lay it out for them with the evidence that he has to support his claims. Devlin Barrett, Lisa Rubin, thank you guys very much.